Halloween candy is something exciting for every child.
He said, "Mom, I made sure that I didn't touch it because I knew it wasn't good."
But what one Utah mother found in her son's stash should make all parents want to take a closer look.
Plus, with thousands of trick-or-treaters canvassing neighborhoods,
we're really trying to reduce the number of crashes that we see in our city.
How police are making sure drivers learn a serious lesson, especially with one common mistake.
The Arctic air is on its way out, but I'm already tracking another cold blast. I'll have your full breakdown in my forecast coming up.
Just the worst comes to mind.
After a little girl survived a scare on her bike,
I'm just really grateful for those officers.
We'll show you who's coming together to replace what she lost. The touching story you have to see.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
First on Fox 13, as children all over Utah dig into their Halloween candy tonight, a Utah County mother has a warning you need to hear.
She says her children found something very disturbing in a Halloween prize this week. Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher joins us live with how it's now sparking a police investigation. Lauren.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob. So police took some quick action after the discovery, even leading to a store pulling products off the shelves. Now they just have to figure out exactly what was in that prize. On the biggest sugar rush night of the year,
Happy Halloween!
There's one main thing on kids' minds.
Candy.
And when all the trick-or-treating's done,
Oh, that's... wow.
it's time to inspect for safety.
Do we look inside? Do you want to see what it is?
Christy can tell you how important this step is after her experience a couple of days ago.
It's something that you hear about, but you don't really believe that could happen.
Her daughter Peyton and 6-year-old son Rush opened Halloween favor boxes from a work party. Peyton found stickers inside, and Rush, Christy says he found these 2 pills. One appears to have a logo similar to the Incredibles.
He said, "Mom, I made sure that I didn't touch it because I knew it wasn't good."
Linden police didn't think it was so good either. They told me they took the pills to the state crime lab for testing and contacted the store these favors came from to remove all the products off the shelf. They're investigating how and why this happened.
Whether or not these pills are very dangerous, which I've been told they are, or if they're just Tylenol, I don't care.
Christy cares that her children are safe, and she hopes as kids go through their Halloween stashes,
Are the Sour Patch Kids?
parents are making sure it really is just sugar and not something else. Now, Linden police say at this point they think this is an isolated incident. They haven't taken any other reports, and they did go through the store's inventory but did not find any other pills. The store declined to comment. Live in studio, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Lauren, thank you. Trick-or-treaters braved the cold along the Wasatch Front tonight. One woman we spoke with says she will have a lot of extra candy tomorrow morning because there just weren't as many children this year.
It's cold out there, and there's some little ones that are so cute. We just had them. Their mothers are like, they're freezing. I was like, yeah, I'm freezing.
We heard this was going to be one of the coldest Halloweens in recent memory, but where does it stack up in the record book?
I know who knows that answer. Fox 13 Chief Meteorologist Kristen Van Dyke. You said that they need to bundle up those kiddos. Hopefully they did tonight, Kristen.
Top 10 for coldest Halloween on record.
Wow.
So you know it was chilly out there. In fact, the second coldest start to Halloween, and then we had about the 8th coldest afternoon for Halloween. Then, of course, the temperatures have been dropping ever since. We're at 31 degrees right now. Winds are nice and calm out there. 24-hour temperature change, at least is not as cold as it was last night or the night before. We're looking at temperatures anywhere from 6 to even 8 degrees warmer than it was last night at this time for the Wasatch Front. 12 degrees milder in Logan and 10 to 15 degrees milder between Milford and Cedar City. Here's a look at the numbers, and we have temperatures widespread pretty much in the 20s to low 30s. So we are all below freezing at this point, and we will continue to see the temperatures drop. Keep in mind our normal lows are still above freezing this time of the year, and so we've already dipped below that tonight. Down south, we're in the low 30s in Cedar City. We got into the single digits there last night. We're in the 40s in St. George. There is another cold front trying to push through. I'll let you know what that means for your forecast tomorrow, and of course we'll take a look at the weekend forecast too, coming up in a few minutes.
Kristen, thank you. While the trick-or-treaters were out tonight, police were also working extra hard to enforce crosswalks and warn drivers.
Yeah, officers stopped 35 people in 5 hours earlier today for not stopping while people were using the crosswalk. Fox 13's Aaron Cox shows us how officers got the message across.
This is where one of South Jordan's crossing guards was hit earlier this year, something they've kept in the back of their minds as they've walked across the street. Walking across the street should not be life-threatening, but it can be.
We're really trying to reduce the number of crashes that we see in our city.
Sergeant Sam Winkler with South Jordan Police Department is not just talking about decreasing car-to-car crashes,
Silver SUV at eastbound.
but cars hitting people, a number they see rising throughout the state.
Especially when it comes to right-turning vehicles. They run red lights all the time, and they're looking left for cars, but they fail to look to the right for pedestrians. And we do get pedestrians hit by it because they don't stop and look to the right where the pedestrian may be coming.
This is where one of South Jordan's crossing guards was hit earlier this year, something they've kept in the back of their minds as they've walked across the street. Students walking to and from school or trick-or-treaters going door to door.
And a lot of these princesses and superheroes that have bright colored costumes may be wearing a dark colored jacket. So please make sure your kids have a glow stick or a flashlight with them so motorists can see them, and remind them to really take a second look before they cross the street, especially if they're wearing a mask, which may reduce some of their visibility.
Dump truck, eastbound.
A reminder that not all heroes are wearing costumes tonight, and they want to make sure you and your family have the best Halloween.
The ultimate goal is to remind motorists of their responsibility to stop for pedestrians and crosswalks.
White passenger car eastbound.
In South Jordan, Aaron Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, a treasurer for a group affiliated with the Children's Justice Center for Uintah and Daggett counties has been arrested. Court documents indicate 41-year-old Michelle Kuhn allegedly stole about $145,000 meant for the center over the past decade. Kuhn is accused of spending the money on fast food, shoes, clothing, and phones. Stay with Fox 13 News as we learn more about this developing story. New at 9, the woman who accidentally killed a teen in Rich County a year ago has a warning for everyone who goes shooting in the woods.
Kayleen Richens and her family were target shooting in the Monte Cristo range when one of her bullets shot through the trees and into another family's Jeep, killing 14-year-old Zachary Kemke. Kayleen was charged with negligent homicide. As part of her sentence, she made this video with the Rich County Sheriff's Office and Vid Advocate, urging people to know their surroundings.
The consequences that can follow, it's not worth it. Take the extra few minutes. Do whatever you need to know. And don't ever put anybody else in the victim's family's shoes.
This was a tragic story. The Richens family says they are now advocates to make sure a shooting accident like this never happens again. State leaders promise no one will be left in the cold when the Road Home shelter in downtown Salt Lake City closes in November.
But some say they're gambling with people's lives. Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox announced the Road Home will close in about a month. State officials also insist there are support systems in place to ensure no one is left in the cold, even though the new shelters are already at capacity. There are plans for overflow needs, and Salt Lake City will be responsible for helping to find new housing for people. But some advocacy groups question whether it's going to work.
We don't really have a plan. We have an outline of a plan. And it's 20 degrees and, you know, they're supposed to close the shelter in like 2 weeks.
Salt Lake City Mayor Jackie Biskupski says they'll help get people into more affordable housing and faster. The state is giving the city money to do that. New tonight, a West Jordan girl has received a generous gift after an accident on the road. West Jordan police say a few weeks ago, Camille was hit by a car as she left Joel P. Jensen Middle School. Her helmet helped save her life, and the only thing lost was her helmet and her bike. Recently, some West Jordan police officers decided to team up with school leaders to split the cost of a new bike for Camille.
She has a great attitude, and she's, here attending school and doing well. Had to get some stitches, but it could have been so much worse.
I think it's a great gesture of humanity on their part and just kindness.
School leaders and police urge children to always wear helmets when riding their bikes to avoid serious injury.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
It's a marketing scheme based right here in Utah, and it's spreading nationwide.
We've had almost 8,000 people who have contacted us.
Who this business is targeting and what you can do to protect yourself.
It could be a game changer when it comes to the science between butterflies and life on Earth itself. What scientists at BYU have found out.
I figure any old building worth its salt has to have a few ghost stories.
But it's not just any old building. We take you inside the governor's mansion and show you a piece of haunted history that goes back over a century.
And the Salt Lake Stars ready to take off with a BYU Cougar on the roster.
It's gonna be scary. Ooh, it's gonna be creepy. Ah, it's 1, 2, 3, Fear Factory. Ah!
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's boom drop top.
We got a new champion. We got a new
Feel like you're gargling sand? We make treating sore throats smooth. Be ready. Download Connect Care.
Hey, Winchester. I love you, but this isn't just any car. It's an Audi. Every line, every stitch, every sound has been meticulously crafted right down to the very smell. And you're just gonna slobber all over it, man.
Obsessively dedicated to every detail. Get exceptional offers on an Audi today.
Get more. Buy the footlong of the day and get 2 sides free. Choose from chips, 2 cookies, or a 20-ounce drink free with the footlong of the day. Make it what you want.
Are you tired of playing the guessing game? Well, you don't have to anymore. Go to LHMUsedCars.com, value your vehicle, and we're going to give you $2,000 more than KBB value. LHM Used Car Supermarkets, driven by you.
Feel like your head's gonna pop? Treat sinus infections at home. Be ready. Download Connect Care.
Live brings the stars to you.
We'll literally be in your living room. Like, hi.
Next Live, Emma Thompson. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Fox 13. Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
Welcome back. Hundreds of people from all across the country flocked to Antelope Island last weekend for their annual bison roundup, but it does not end there. Today, the rounded up bison, they started to receive their vaccinations, also individual health screenings and permanent ID chips. State park leaders will pick it all back up tomorrow and Saturday at 8:30 in the morning. People can go up to the island and see it all free of charge. Now, the last phase of this process is the big bison auction. That takes place on Saturday, November 9th.
I don't know what it is about the human psyche that we like these ghost stories. We're interested. We want to know when we go into old buildings, do you have ghost stories?
I became interested in Jeanette Herbert's ghost stories during a recent 3 Questions interview. She told me about some experiences she's had at the governor's mansion. Could one of Utah's most prominent homes also be one of its most haunted? Come along for the tour.
I figure any old building worth its salt has to have a few ghost stories with it.
And this building is worth its salt. or silver. Before it became the Utah Governor's Mansion,
It was built in 1902.
it was the private home of Park City miner turned owner of the Silver King mine, Thomas Kearns.
So much history, it's hard to really know everything that went on.
Kearns became a senator, befriended presidents, lived here, and died here in 1918.
He had been in a car accident on State Street, and they brought him in, and he died about 4 days later in one of the bedrooms on the second floor.
Thomas's widow, Jenny, later donated the house to the state. It's now the Governor's Mansion.
So we always joke that when anything happens around here, oh, it's just Thomas Kearns.
The First Lady says her husband doesn't seem to notice when things go bump in the night, but she's gotten used to it.
I think it's interesting the fact that it doesn't even bother me anymore. I find it interesting, I find it humorous, I find it, you know, I can't explain it, but it's not like it affects me because I've never felt anything, like I said, sinister or evil or anything more prankish.
Like the night she was in this room with her daughter.
It was probably about almost 10 o'clock at night. We were down here alone, and all of a sudden in the room next to us, the parlor, we heard this crash. And my daughter kind of grabbed me. But when we got in there, there's a picture of the Kearns family, and it's kind of in a heavy metal frame that sits on a table, and it had just fallen onto the floor. Nothing to, you know, cause it to fall, but it did. But it's got a sturdy stand on the back, and it just sits like this. But it had fallen, the glass had broken, everything was right here on the floor. But it was very loud. I mean, it was because it's heavy metal. I mean, feel how heavy that frame is. It's very, very heavy. The workmanship that went into this mansion, very unique.
Or the time she was decorating the ballroom on the top floor.
It was at Christmas time, and I was decorating up there for an event for the next day. And when I was up there, then I kept hearing this. And I finally, just talking to myself, said, "Stop now, I'm too busy for this."
Another time, it was a security guard who was rattled when alarms went off for seemingly no reason.
On the second floor, which, as I said, is locked off to the general public, then the light went on in one of the back bedrooms. So he came back in, hustled upstairs, looked all around, never found anything.
Who was that?
Thomas Kearns.
After all of the experiences that you've had in this house, are you a believer in the paranormal?
I believe that spirits live here on earth. Oh, I think with all of that, we all kind of have that belief that, you know, there's spirits around us, and you know, some are here to do good and some are here to not do so good. So it's kind of, you know, trying to figure out which ones are hanging around.
And if anybody needs to get in touch with a loved relative on the other side, can they call you?
This would be a good place.
We didn't even get to tell all the stories. One security guard saw somebody, I think they were on the second floor or third floor, and they saw a man, a pair of pants and shoes, walking into the ante-kitchen or the pantry, and he went running down there to see what he was the only one in the building because the Herberts were away for the weekend.
Oh, wow.
And he ran down, there was nobody there.
That is freaky.
It's something about those really older homes that
I tell you.
I don't know. There's something spooky about it.
I believe it.
Thomas Kearns is probably Thomas Kearns.
All right, we'll see what he does tonight after all this notoriety.
Yeah.
Sleep tight,
The lights are
Herberts.
going on and off right now at the Herberts house.
Well, happy Halloween, everyone. Man, your little ones probably were frozen getting their goods tonight.
Hopefully staying warm tonight. Yeah, it was chilly. Again, like I mentioned earlier, top 10 coldest Halloweens on record for us. And right now we're at the second coldest October on record, but we're still getting the final numbers in from today. And it's going to be super close. I think we might take the #1 spot, and I'll have the breakdown for you tomorrow. For the coldest October on record. It's been chilly all month, and then we just kind of ended it with a bang on Halloween with the Arctic mass that moved in just 2 days ago. Our average temperature, I should say, has been 47 degrees. That's the high and the low combined. Normally it's 53, so that is way off for us. The warmest day of the month, 78. We hit that once. Last year we had highs in the 80s during the month of October, not this year. And then our coldest day, of course, an all-time record when we dipped down to 14 degrees yesterday morning. So it's been quite chilly out there. Right right now we're hanging out at the freezing mark. Winds are nice and calm. Skies are partly cloudy, so that will keep the temperatures from dropping as low tonight. You can see in the satellite pictures some high clouds kind of streaming in from the north, and that is from a cold front that's trying to pass on by to the north and east. What it will do is continue to bring in some chilly air, not the Arctic air, but enough that we're going to see our temperatures stay below average, well below average again for another night and another day. We have widespread record lows again this morning. Randolph at 14 below, Deer Creek at only 2 degrees, Cedar City at 4, Zion National Park down to 15 this morning, Capitol Reef down to 12. So lots of records this morning. Don't think we'll see so many of those tomorrow, but it still will be below average. Temperatures are in the 20s up and down the Wasatch Front, 25 in Evanston. Down in Cedar City, we're at 24, and we're on our way back down to the freezing mark in St. George. This is your hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow, and we will start off in the low to mid-20s in the morning, likely seeing some lows along the Wasatch Front in the upper teens again. And then we'll go into the afternoon, and highs once again will only be in the mid-40s, when this time of the year we should be in the upper 50s. But it does warm up for the weekend. Once we get through tomorrow, it does get a lot milder around here. So temperatures in the 20s in the morning, teens for the Wasatch back. We'll start off at 29 in St. George, 17 in Ely, in the teens for Evanston. For the afternoon, highs in the mid-40s, upper 30s for the Wasatch back, and then down in southern Utah, temperatures getting into the 60s. Here's your 7-day forecast for southern Utah. Temperatures in the upper 60s tomorrow, and then we're back to the low to mid-70s, and the bone dry weather we've had down south, that sticks around all through next week. Right now, no storm systems moving in. And in northern Utah, we're keeping it dry too. We'll keep a close eye on next Wednesday, Thursday for a disturbance, but right now forecast models are backing off on that, and the big chill that looked like it might be coming our way again next week. For now, we just get through the next couple of days, and we're going to be close to normal for this time of the year, with temperatures getting back to the upper 50s and overnight lows down into the mid-30s.
Warmer temperatures ahead. Thanks, Kristen.
Hallelujah.
Also, still to come, their job never stops, not even for bad weather. We talk with how UDOT workers are coping with the bitter cold.
Carl Jr. Well, if it isn't Big Carl, you fixin' to sauce me up? Sick those beefy twins on this cheese hound. Scram, Big Mac. Go play with your extra toy bun. The adults are getting meaty. Carl's Jr., you know what you want.
Dear road rivals, sorry to leave you in the dust, but I've got to keep up with being named best resale value of any midsize pickup truck. It's nothing personal. Catch me later, Tacoma.
Right now, lease a new 2019 Tacoma for just $239 per month, or get $1,500 cash back on a new Tacoma. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
People can learn a lot from bees. Every bee in the hive has its own responsibilities. We divide and conquer by the all hands on deck method.
Managing 4 kids' schedules is busy, busy, busy. The family struggles when mom gets sick. I had a sinus infection. I didn't want to leave my family, so I used Intermountain Connect Care. There's no copay with our plan. If I were a bee, I think I'd be the queen bee, right? This is my hive. That's really cheesy.
We're not the oldest SUV maker around, but what we lack in the cautious restraint of age, we make up for with the gravel-pounding ambition of youth. Torque vectoring corner control and center locking differential. Available on Kia's tough and ready lineup of all-wheel drive SUVs. Right now, lease the 2020 Sportage LX for $179 a month.
Carl Jr. They call you really Big Carl? Must be those triple-sauced meat heaps. How about you cloak me in cheese? Drape me in a 3-piece patty suit like a beef tycoon. Carl's Jr., you know what you want.
Even with damaged credit, I still need to drive.
1-800-START-OVER and Fox 13 will get you into a dependable car, truck, or SUV. Even if you have medical bills, bankruptcies, or repossessions. Every vehicle comes with a warranty and 3 free oil changes. We've placed hundreds of people just like you in beautiful cars and trucks. Drive home with the car you want today. Call 1-800-START-OVER or go to fox13now.com.
I'm Nolan Stedman, and I'm so glad these boys are carrying on this tradition.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
New this hour, researchers at BYU and Harvard have uncovered what they think is a game changer regarding how evolution is laid out between certain species. In a new study published in the academic journal Science, researchers looked at 20 genomes of a certain butterfly species. They concluded the original evolutionary tree drawn up by Charles Darwin may need to be adjusted because it's much more complicated than previously thought. And scientists say it all comes down to the genomes.
We found that the evolutionary history of this species involves a lot of genetic exchange after things become distinct species. And it's been particularly noticed at genes that control for their color patterns.
Scientists hope other researchers studying other groups of animals can apply this train of thought and look for other clues about how those organisms have developed over time.
I've always loved butterflies. That's cool.
Interesting.
The staff from Shriners Hospital for Children in Salt Lake City got into the Halloween spirit today, transforming over 30 children's wheelchairs. And they look fantastic. They created elaborate designs like the Little Mermaid's Under the Sea theme right there. They had Santa's sleigh as well. The hospital's wheelchair costume clinic was created all to help kids with physical disabilities. Hospital staff members say this levels the playing field, helping children go from just watching Halloween to actually being in it and celebrating it.
It lets him be a part of the group. When he goes to school, he gets to trick or treat. We take him trick or treating in a neighborhood just with his brothers, and he loves to go to the door and he'll say trick or treat and talk to him, and he loves to show it off. He tells everybody what he is.
Oh, that's great. Hope all those kiddos had fun trick-or-treating tonight. The clinic also provides parents with help in creating their child's costume.
Coming up after the break.
Pregnancy gifts given to thousands of women, and many aren't even pregnant.
We contacted the business and we asked them to explain this.
The warning about these gift cards.
A substitute crossing guard isn't just keeping kids safe, how she's going the extra mile to help them and lending a hand to families who need it most.
And canceling class the day after Halloween? How some Utah students are trying to make it happen. Coming up.